Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and very good morning to my respected lecturer, Madam Salwani, and my beloved fellow friend. I'm Muhammad Azram Azwan, gonna do our presentation on international part today. Before we go deeper into this, financial management involves planning and controlling company financial resources to maximize the return on the investment, which is included function as controlling, planning, and executing major financial activities in organization. Financial decisions play a significant role in a company growth. Making a good decision regarding capital budgeting, capital structure, and working capital management is crucial for long or short-term company performance, which is it affecting liquidity, investment, and sustainability. Therefore, analyzing company financial statement is essential before making any financial decision to improve company efficiency and effectiveness. So for this report, me and my team gonna do the analyzation on the financial statement for the company chosen, which is Petronas and Shell, which is company in the same industry for oil and gas. By using a basic tool financial management studies, we're gonna do vertical analysis and horizontal analysis ratio to examine the financial condition of the both company in 2021, 2022, and the years 2020. That's all from me. Thank you.
Welcome. Hi, my name is Nusafina binti Zani, A212 and I2, presenting horizontal analysis. Liquidity ratio. For current ratio, Petronas decreased from 1.74 to 1.36 and Shell increased from 1.25 to 1.36. For quick ratio, Petronas decreased from 1.57 to 1.33 and Shell increased from 0.99 to 1.1. Net working capital for Petronas decreased from 1819224 to 1800922 and increased to 1850757, while Shell increased from 18,442 to 44,627. Activity ratio, inventory turnover ratio. Petronas, it increased from 45.61 to 232.90, and Shell increased from 9.28 to 12.05. Average collection period ratio. Petronas increased and decreased from 23 to 56 and decreased to 40, while Shell maintained 83 for 2 years and decreased to 70. Activity ratio for account receivable turnover ratio. For Petronas, decreased from 16 to 6.45 and increased to 9.12. Shell decreased from 4.38 to 4.34 and increased to 5.19. Fixed assets turnover ratio for Petronas decreased from 4.58 to 8.75, and Shell, it increased from 0.04 to 1.38. For activity ratio, total asset turnover ratio. For Petronas, it increased from 2.28 to 3.26, and Shell increased from 0.03 to 0.86. Solvency ratio, debt ratio. For Petronas, it increased from 32% to 49%, and Shell decreased from 58% to 57%. Debt to equity ratio. For Petronas, it increased from 47% to 90%, and for Shell, it decreased from 139% to 130%. Time interest earned. For Petronas, it increased 34.910 to 63.64 and decreased 45.08. Share increased from 6.60 to 20.38. Profitability ratio, gross profit margin ratio. For Petronas, it decreased from 12% to 10%. Shell increased from negative 281% to 60%. For operating profit margin, Petronas increased from 2% to 3% and maintained. And Shell increased from negative 256% to 70%. Net profit margin for Petronas, it increased from 1% to 2%, while Shell decreased from 6% to negative 12%. Return on asset, Petronas increased from 3% to 7%, and Shell increased from negative 6% to 10%. Lastly, return on equity, Petronas increased from 5% to 14%, and Shell increased from negative 14% to 22%.
Assalamualaikum, I am Nur Atika Sofia bin Rahindin, A21A2814, will present about vertical analysis. 5.1 is vertical analysis of liquidity ratio. The graph in 2022 above show that the current ratio for Shell exceeds 0.01 compared to Petronas, which is 1.36 and 1.35. However, Petronas is still higher than Shell in quick ratio, which shows 1.33 for Petronas and 1.1 for Shell. We can observe that Petronas consistently has a high average net working capital than Shell in all net working capital comparison. Petronas in accent more liquid than Shell. 5.2 vertical analysis of activity ratio. As you can see in the graph of activity ratio for 2022 demonstrate that Petronas has maintained its lead over Shell after 3 years. There is a large disparity between Petronas and Shell report activity ratio for the average collection period. In 2020, Shell report 83 days compared to Petronas 23 days, while Petronas collect an average of 56 days in 2021. Shell continued to record 83 days as they had in the previous year. In contrast to Petronas, which had an average value of just 40 days, Shell had an average value of 20 days greater. Next, 5.3 vertical analysis of leverage or solvency ratios. As evidence, we may say that Petronas debt ratio is 49% lower than Shell, which is 57%, based on the above graph of leverage of solvency ratio in 2022. Despite this, Shell still has a higher debt to equity ratio than Petronas at 130% as opposed to only 90%. Leverage, also known as the solvency ratio, a metric used to assess company capacity to cover interest costs. It is calculated as the product of the ratio of the operating income to interest expense. As we can see in 2020, Shell has lower times the interest earned from Petronas. However, Petronas has higher interest time obtained from Shell in 2020. In 2022, the time benefit obtained for Petronas were compared to the previous year but was still higher than Shell. The last one is 5.4 analysis of profitability ratio. We can see from the profit ratio graph for 2022 above that Petronas has a lower gross profit margin of 10% and operating profit margin of 3% than Shell, which is 16% and 70%. Additionally, Petronas net profit margin is larger than Shell's. When it comes to return on asset, Shell recorded a percentage that was 10% greater than Petronas, which was only 7%. Petronas return on equity, however, lower than Shell.
Okay, I would like to present recommendation for Petronas and Shell. Okay, for Petronas, there are some recommendation, which is diversify in order to obtain new markets and product line. The corporation might concentrate on creating great technology, since protecting the environment is a major priority for the people all around the world. Therefore, it can be said that if Petronas create alternative fuels such as turning plastic waste into fuel, wastewater into fuel, and so on, which are regarded affordable by customer while decreasing pollution and environmental harm. Petronas should place more on emphasize on recycling energy supply technology in Malaysia because the country produced 33,000 tons of rubbish per day. Next is reposition their image profit. Okay, repositioning is a frequent done when a company experiences a decline in sales and decides it is time to expand and make some changes. This is crucial if they want to maintain their brand and stay away of customer needs and preference. Petronas has been making investments in its corporation social responsibility (CSR) program based on expanding the education and community program in Malaysia and overseas in order to address the environmental issues caused by exploration and production activity. Okay, next recommendation is retain talents with attractive incentive program and growth activity. Uh, Retain talent and attractive incentive program and growth activity is also one of remuneration for Petronas. The practice used to keep talented and skilled individuals within the organization are referred to as talent retention strategy. For business or organization to succeed, it is important to retain employees. The value of resources increase over time, and employees are considered to be an organization's most valuable asset. The most crucial tactics for retaining valuable employees and maintaining a good employer-employee relationship is employee retention. The companies share values of loyalty, honesty, professionalism, and cohesion are what Petronas believe are selflessly developed, nourished, and grown within its workplace. Okay, for Shell, there are also some few recommendations. Okay, firstly for liquidity ratio, it is recommended Shell improve their inventory management. Next, streamlining account payable. Next recommendation is continuously review and optimize working capital policy, and lastly, invest in technology and automation. Okay, for activity ratio for Shell, it is recommended Shell improve collection efficiency. She also recommend that they need to increase fixed asset utilization. Next is optimize total asset utilization, and lastly strengthen interest coverage. For Shell profitability ratio, it is recommended that Shell improve gross profit margin and enhancing operating profit margin.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Rifah binti Muhammad Rustin and I'm going to talk about the conclusion for this assignment. It's really important for the organization to have a financial statement so they can do the books of long and short-term financial decision. The Shell and Petronas both experience a loss on net profit, but it show different pattern in the financial performance. And Shell is much better than Petronas because Shell dominates in all category of profitability ratio, but not in the net profit margin. This can be because Shell is more powerful in generate profit than Petronas can. From the ratio and the calculation we make, the boards of company have an idea on how they can improve their performance. That's all from us. Thank you.